evening, everybody. Dr. Glow here with Black Girl Everything, and I'm here to interview an amazing, amazing artiste that I had the pleasure of meeting while in Houston. They're actually live out in Houston. So everybody, please say hello to Stacey. Stacey, introduce yourself, talk about who you are and why you are happy to be here today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Glow. I am so excited to be doing this interview with you. Thank you so much for inviting me on your platform, and thank you for all the work that you do amplifying Black women and the work that we do. So, my name is Stacey Allen. I am based in Houston, Texas, and I am the founder and artistic director of Nia's Daughters Movement Collective. And our mission is to create and support art and wellness initiatives through the lens of Black women and girls. We do this a multitude of ways, specifically through dance performances.
Mhm.
We have a multi-generational group of performers of generally it's mostly comprised of adult professional performers, and every now and then we'll invite pre-professional high school students to perform with us. And a lot of our work is centered around educational equity, specifically about African American history and the need to implement that into our everyday lives. And we also do a lot of work surrounding reproductive justice.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. I love all of that. I love all that.
Yeah.
So, what brought about your desire to start this collective of Black women?
Oh my gosh, that's such an amazing question. Nia's Daughters Movement Collective was officially formed in 2018. However, I've been doing this work for a very, very long time. I am a former public school dance educator. And
Mm,
so I would teach in primarily African American schools. And
mm,
because I was teaching dance, I would mostly be serving young Black girls.
yeah.
And so a lot of this work is really rooted in not only my performance background. I had a pretty extensive performance career before moving into directing, and my education background, servicing children from a variety of social classes, but just kind of seeing some of the trends of what I saw that the families and the girls that I served needed. That's kind of what led to this. And then more specifically,
Mhm.
finding a transition after becoming a mother.
Yeah.
I performed with many dance companies here in the Houston area, most specifically Urban Souls Dance Company, and I would do freelance work here and there. And so Nia's Daughters kind of started because I wanted to choreograph a piece about Black women. And then we just kept doing more and more shows. And what I found is I have three beautiful children. I'm married and I have three children, 7, 5, and 3, so they're very young. So recently, had these children and had them day to day, and just trying to figure out what my voice, my artistic voice was as a mother. And what I found is that I wanted to create a space where Black women in different phases of their lives could still be creative. And so I'm happy to say that in our collective, we have an elder, we have me, I have three children, and then another one of our dancers who is currently expecting. She'll be a mother of two. And yeah, we just make sure that we provide opportunities for Black women to create. Another woman in our collective is a set designer. She's
Mhm.
also a mother. A lot of the women that I work with collaborate with other projects. We kind of have that same trend trying to figure out how to balance our creative practices with our lives. And so that kind of is the meat of what Nia Starters Movement Collective. I chose that name because Nia is Kiswahili for purpose. So
Yeah.
that's where the Nia comes in. I often get asked, is my mama named Nia? Is my daughter named Nia?
No,
But
I knew
Nia
what it
is
was.
for
Yeah.
purpose. Yeah. Yeah, I knew you knew, but I just wanted to make sure. And, and then the daughters is just representative
Mhm.
of that multi-generational, making sure that we're passing down that matriarchal lineage of knowledge, information sharing. We're honoring our foremothers, our aunties, our grandmothers, all those.
Yeah, that's all amazing. All amazing. And I hear you. I hear you. Very dope,
Yeah.
very dope. So like I love creatives and I love creatives who create art in all the different forms, right? Because it's being within one medium is always nice, but when you have multiple mediums to work with, it actually gets your message further across. So what is another medium that you actually explore your creativity?
So I've been recently doing film and a
Hmm.
book. And so I have been hesitant to adopt the term multidisciplinary artist, but it's factual. But what I really like to say is that I'm a storyteller and I use
Mm.
multiple avenues to get these stories across. So my
Mm.
most fluent language is dance.
Yeah.
And I create with a ton of collaborators. I do nothing alone. I create with a ton of collaborators these live theater productions where people see dance and theater and music and all the things brought together. I also wrote a children's book entitled A Little Optimism Goes a Long Way. And that piece is about, and see, even that's a book and I'm still represented as a piece as an art. But that piece is about a young girl who is getting started on her dance journey and she's working through her stage fright. But then you also learn about the Black dance matriarch, Catherine Dunham. So all of these things are still very much connected as really centering what I try to do in Nia Starters Movement Collective is really center Black expressive culture, so the
Hmm.
performance history, the things like that, and then also Black material culture. So you'll see like in the film that I created, Aesthetic Inheritances, which is based off of work entitled Aesthetic Inheritances, History Work by Hand by Bell Hooks. It's talking about that material culture, the textiles, the things that we can touch that bring in our culture and just kind of blending that expressive and material culture. So, yes, I work in multiple mediums, but I really truly think of myself as a storyteller.
Hmm.
And most of it is centered, like 99% of it is centered around some type of movement, some type of dance, some type of um, embodied expression. Because even in the film, that's a heavy theme within the work.
That was a mouthful, but I love every sound of it. Sound is so so amazing. So I'm gonna dig through that a little bit and ask you some questions.
Okay,
So first, you mentioned the word collaboration, right? I believe all in collaboration that no one can get anywhere by themselves. Like Black Girl Everything
absolutely.
is a business that connects and collaborates with multiple businesses. Like you had to say yes to for me to actually have this content to put you out there and promote your business, right? So we all have to work together. So how important do you feel collaboration is? And can you talk about that for other business owners who are kind of scared of the thing of collaborating with others?
Like collaboration is really everything. And
Mhm.
I'm pausing because I'm trying to find the right words. But what is on my tongue is how can you get a collaboration? What is it like, what's the trajectory for success without working with one another? I know, unfortunately, due to trauma that we've experienced in our community, we may feel like we may be living in a scarcity mindset, poverty
Mhm.
mindset that if we share information and resources that there will be a negative,
Mhm.
consequence. And I also don't want to minimize people's lived stories of trying to collaborate and it not always being perfect. And that's just the truth of the matter. It's not going to always be perfect, but I do believe in community and I do believe in alignment. And I do know, not only do I believe, I am living proof that when you work together with people and you communicate effectively, you can build beautiful relationships and
Yeah.
beautiful collaborations. Even the book, right? I talk about it as a piece because it's not just a book. It's so much intention
Mhm.
within the book and the illustrations. That was a collaboration. That was a collaboration with me and the illustrator. Just really, I gave her a lot of free range to create work that was resonated with her. We have a lot of similar interests. Both of us are very interested in arts education. She is a full-time arts educator here in the Houston area. We're both very interested in African American history, specifically women artists. Hers more a visual artist, me women performing artists.
Mhm.
We're both very much interested in like some of the histories of Black settlements, Black freedom towns, Black liberation, even reproductive justice. We have a lot of similarities, but I still wanted her to feel as if she had a stake in the work,
Yeah.
right? So like if you go through the book, I hope y'all ordered a book. It's called A Little Optimism Goes a Long Way.
Hmm.
If you go on my website, you can find the links to where to purchase them. It is exclusively available at Black-owned bookstores, which is another collaboration I plan to speak about in a second. But yeah, just to be concise, I really gave her free range. Like, hey, I wanted to make nods to other Black culture within the piece.
Yeah.
So, like, if you when you get the book, listeners, when you get the book, you'll see that even the family's house, they're art collectors. So you see this artwork on iconic artwork in this family's house, and that is all with intention. Nothing's done without intention because it'll
Hmm.
introduce, like, hey, those are pieces that are iconic to African American art history on the family's wall inside the book.
Yeah.
Like all those things are a collaboration, and we talk about that. We talk about those things like um which part, like who who to put.
Hmm.
In the dance studio, there are several African American dance legends, icons on
Yeah.
the studio walls. And so like, that was a collaboration figuring out that process. We really approached this children's book as a piece. And
Hmm.
I'm very proud of what we were able to create. And then, as I was speaking of earlier, my book is exclusively available in Black-owned bookstores. That is a collaboration of itself. It's not available on Amazon as of now. It is, you have to order it from a Black-owned bookstore. And how did that become? I'm often asked, like, how did you get it in the bookstore? From relationship building, from
Yeah.
years and years of relationship building and prioritizing spending money with Black.
I get it.
Like,
I try to keep my money as black as possible, so I totally dig it. Hmm.
So, yeah, because I mean, from the vantage point that and I want to be very clear, I'm not saying it won't ever be available elsewhere, but for right now, as a self-published author, if I'm gonna split that commission, who I want to split it with? People
Mm.
I'm in community with that have the same value system that I have, and also where I feel that the money will be circulated not only within our local area, but within initiatives that I also support.
That's dope. I knew you was gonna be a good interview, but I'm like, gosh, you was digging deep in the inside. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, what were some of the challenges that you feel within the dance community as much as the world has moved so far away from art, especially for our youth? Because we talk about, most schools don't have art programming at all, right? You got to go to that special school that has dance or that special school that has drama. How do you think that's impacting your community?
So I live in Texas, so y'all know there's a lot going on politically here. I don't know if y'all been seeing what's going on here on the news. Um, um, but yeah, we have a large campaign by certain legislators. This is not champions of the legislative session, champions in different branches of government who are trying for this not to happen. So I want to be very clear on that. But we also have, because Texas is Texas, we also have a lot of people who are committed to our erasure. And one easy way to erase a people is to erase the culture, right?
Yeah.
And so, on one hand, I see so much growth, right? I am 36. So when I was growing up, dance was only really available in high school. However, when I started teaching, my first teaching job was in the elementary school, which is remarkable. That means that it's some students. Dr. Glow, I have a few students who are currently in college majoring in dance, and you have no idea how much that means to me. And I
Hmm.
taught them in elementary school. So that means that they were able to get solid dance training from elementary school and matriculate up through K through 12 and then audition for college dance programs. And all of them I know are going to have a substantial performance career or a teaching career, whatever they choose. So on one hand, I see that growth and that progress, and it fills me with emotion. Like even right now, I'm like almost like I'm not teary eyed, but like I can feel like it coming up because it just makes me so emotional just to know that that progress has been happening. But then sometimes my dance company, Nia Starters Movement Collective, will go into a school who has no fine arts and will do a
Yeah.
residency. And so that's the challenge. You'll see so much progress in one avenue, but then it'll
Hmm.
be like 20 minutes down the street in another neighborhood, it's very, very bleak. And that has been one of the things that I have to grapple with, like how to maintain hope, deciding what are the battles to take, being strategic, and where to do programming. Um, those are some of the obstacles like that I'm still trying to figure out to this day. Like I've had to shift a lot of the arts education outreach that we do from like technical movement to more social emotional learning, and
Yeah.
not and it doesn't have to always be performance based. It could be just an opportunity for people to have a creative outlet, because if they don't have consistent training or a consistent instructor, like what is the goal here? Like just kind of
Mhm.
reassessing what are some of the goals. And so that has been a large part of what has been the obstacles we face.
Yeah, and I think that's just everywhere, everywhere, especially when you talk about the schools. Because where I'm at in Mount Vernon, you have your south side and you have your north side. True to the across the tracks is a different world, right? So it's like the access that the schools have on some of the schools on the north side is not the same access that they have on the south side. So the curriculums are different, the opportunities are different. And this is in Westchester County, which is, quote unquote, the most wealthiest county in New York, whatever. But Mount Vernon is a city in that space, and there's still this such this devastation between the difference of services across the city with our educational system. Like they're trying to keep it as equal as possible, but then you deal with it with the impact of the families have, the impact that the parents have, and what the parents are actually advocating for within their spaces, especially when it comes down to the arts. And I think that's a big part that we lack, because there's so much that can be accomplished through art and artistic expression. And it's such a healing force that can come from it.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I know also through your art, you talk a lot about reproductive rights. Talk a little bit about that. I heard you mention that. Talk to me what that really means for you and your organization.
Yeah, so I am the mother of three children, and I have three beautiful children, and I also had three very difficult pregnancies. Black maternal health is really, if I had to pull one of the strain, like I know reproductive justice is very vast, but if I had to pull one strain, it's definitely Black maternal health. Not only my experiences, so I'm gonna just tell this little story real quick. You know how like you can read stuff like, oh, the Black maternal mortality rate is this, or the infant rate is this,
Mm-hmm.
or on the other side of the coin, Black people are losing their property to property tax. It's like you can read it, but it's like, oh, I'm reading this on my phone. But then it's like, wait a minute, my people now almost lost their land. Wait a minute, that's me. I have gestational diabetes. It's not this thing over there. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I kept running into, honestly, Dr. Globe, even before I had my children, I had a miscarriage. And what I learned from having that miscarriage, it was a very public miscarriage because I was showing people knew I was pregnant and then I wasn't, right? How many women came up to me and told me their stories? And it was almost like this secret sorority I did not ask to be in.
Mm-hmm.
It was so common. It was like, oh yeah, that happened to me. And everyone just kept telling me these stories. And then so I was like, wait a minute, this is not just like you know how we normalize dysfunction.
Yep.
Something can be normal, but it's not okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is common. That's what I should say. Something can be common, but it is not normal.
Yep.
And so that's kind of my personal life and the women around me is how I became interested in maternal health. And so I was trying to figure out what avenue, it was like this divorced feeling, like, oh, I do the dance thing and then I do this thing. I was trying to figure out where I wanted to be. Huge advocate for breastfeeding. I did a breastfeeding support training. It was wonderful, but when it was time to implement with people, what I realized is that they didn't need information. A lot of Black women needed agency. So, like,
Mm,
we
mm.
know that we need to breast, like, we have the information. It wasn't the lack, it was like they didn't feel comfortable, they didn't feel like their body was enough, they didn't this and this. Like, it was like all those things that it was like, oh, this is beyond just getting this information. This is something else. And so, where dance became an opportunity was to give women an opportunity to have that level of agency. Through movement classes, we are able to help people feel more connected to themselves, feel more embodied, have the agency to stand up for themselves. All that can happen, like you said, the healing through the arts. We've been also been commissioned to do a few projects surrounding that. We had I was a co-creator of an art installation at Project Row Houses, which is a
Mhm.
very well-known art organization here in Houston. They had around 50 race, health, and motherhood. Myself, Felicia Woodard, Cecily Lofton, and Lindsay Gary, we co-created this house, and it was called Formed in My Grandmother's Womb. And it was essentially about these ancestral practices that we needed to bring back. So that was an opportunity. We created another small video project about the impacts of the anti-abortion laws on women's health. And so that's kind of how we started activities speak about
Mhm.
reproductive justice, in addition to the movement classes and just being in community with people and helping Black women reconnect with themselves.
Yeah, yeah, I'm all in. If you see my book is right over there in the back. And oh, let me bring it
Mhm.
up. So right here is my book, Memoirs of
Yeah, bring it to the
Infertility, right?
front. Mhm.
Yeah. So my story is the same thing around Black women and everything else because we experienced a late loss, at 18 weeks, 5 days. So we know the thing about a very visible public miscarriage because people know and everybody's excited, everybody's happy for you because you can't hide a 5-month-old belly. But then when you had the loss, it's like, huh. And I found through writing my book was where I was able to work through some of those stories and talk to stories with other Black families and talk about where they were with it and their experience with it. And you realize 1 in 4 Black women have a
Mhm.
miscarriage. And I think the numbers are actually getting worse today than they were then. Um, now, because for us, that's almost 6 years ago. But I can remember that night like it was yesterday
Mhm.
you know so it's really interesting,
Mhm.
and we talk about that especially around Black women and that concept of agency and being able to advocate for yourself and saying this is not okay, I deserve better. I was talking to just talked to a friend of mine who just had a procedure done, and we kept on saying, well, why do they only give you this level of medication? Doesn't make any sense, and you're saying you're having all this pain. Call the doctor's office today, and they did not give her the right script, but she was suffering in pain for 3 days. So it's just like you got to be that concept of advocating for ourselves and saying this is not okay. This is what I deserve, and what are you going to do? And that's what I
Mhm.
find happens so much, especially with women of color, because we also have this thing where we feel as if I got this I got this mentality, and
Baby, I'm
allows us
not a
to be.
strong Black woman. I would tell people
Nobody
all the
got
time, I'm
time to
not a
be.
strong Black woman. I'm not a strong Black woman. I'm not her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need support. I need help.
Eh,
Support
mhm.
is my favorite word these days. Can you support me with this? Like, wait, what? You can't do it. Yeah, I need some support. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
All day long, all day long. So
Mhm.
yeah, I commend you also for sharing your story. Thank you. Because I like people to share those types of stories. And so people realize that they're not alone. I think that's the biggest part, that it happens to so many people in so many different ways. The people you on the train with, on the bus when you're driving past, the people you're dancing with. People have similar stories every single day. And it's something real to discuss. So let's move it on from
Mhm.
there. Our happy life. You have 3 amazing children. I have an amazing daughter. We have an amazing rainbow baby who came after. So we are very blessed and very happy with that.
Mhm.
Because we are one of the ones who survive our incidents and still to be able to come into motherhood, which is an amazing thing. But Talk to me
Mhm.
about where people can find your work and how often do you do shows? What does that look like for you out in Texas? I gotta check it out now.
It's a busy season because it's Black History Month, baby. We booked every week. This like, I don't know, whenever, yeah. So we have a lot. February and March too as well.
Yeah.
So you can find me on Instagram at the Black Artsy Mom and also on Instagram at Nia's Daughters, Nias, daughters like regular, and in Facebook, Nia's Daughters. My website is www.staceyallencbe.com. Stacey is Stacey, then Allen, Allen, CDE.com. And we have a show. If you're in the Houston area, come through. We have a show February 24th in Sugarland, which is iconic. Um, we know that Sugarland is the site of where people who I guess you have listeners everywhere, but
Yeah.
recently in the last few years, there's a thing called the Sugarland 95. I encourage you all to look it up. And so just Fort Bend County has been grappling with that past of not doing right by people who have our ancestors who was in convict leasing and enslaved in this area. So the city of Sugarland, I think it's pretty iconic that they have commissioned us to do a performance about freedom colonies, about Texas freedom colonies. We're doing our show, The Fairy Tale Project, which is based on the love story of Jim and Winnie Shankel, the founders of the Texas Freedom Colony, Shankleville, which my husband and my children are descendants of. Um, we're doing that show. That's the show that we tour. So we've done it in a few different places and we'll continue to tour it. And then during spring break at Discovery Green, which is a park in downtown Houston, we'll have a show March 11th from 12 to 4. And we'll be premiering a new piece at that show. So if you come to both shows, February 24th and then March 11th, you'll see two different works. So I encourage you to come to both. Also buy my book. My book
Plug, plug,
is,
plug.
yes, buy the book. Think about, contact me, ordering a class set of books and donating it to a school in your area. It's a second grade-ish reading level, a little bit higher or lower depending on your child's reading level. But think about that. That's something that has been really good. People have been buying class sets and donating them. But you can find the book. If you go to my website, you can find all of this information. But the book is available at Kindred Stories, which is a Black-owned bookstore in Houston's Third Ward. And it's also available at Class Bookstore, which is another Black-owned bookstore in Houston's Third Ward. And then it's also available at Community Artists Collective, which is a legendary arts gallery that is also located in Houston's Third Ward. Houston's Third Ward is kind of like the epicenter for Black art in Houston. That's where Beyonce from. That's where Debbie Allen and Felicia Rashad from. So Third Ward is like our Harlem.
Yeah, I didn't see that when I was in Houston. Now I gotta come back to Houston because I gotta go to the third ward.
Yeah, girl, you was on the north side.
Mm, I
Yeah,
was.
that's not it. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. It was, and I tried driving around, going to other places trying to explore, but I was like, hmm. All right, so now I'm coming back. I'm going to the third ward, and you're gonna take me on a tour for the black side.
Yes, yes,
So I
yes.
can get some culture in my life of Houston. Like I enjoyed my
Mm-hmm.
visit, but I need some more culture.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So Stacey, I want to thank you so much for your time this evening, and sharing space with me and about your work and what you're doing out there in Houston. And I look forward to my visit back out there because I'm gonna call you and like, Stacey, I don't know what I'm doing. I need you to tell me what to do while I'm
Yes,
in
yes,
Houston.
yes. Yes, I'm gonna have to give you a tour where we eat. Don't go to the Instagram spots. No, I'm just playing.
Oh shoot. Now I want to know the real food. I like the real food. I'm a foodie. I enjoy my food. So I want to know the real spots to eat at, definitely. And if you ever, whenever you make your way to New York, I would love to see the day when you guys perform on the stage here. As much
Yes.
as y'all started with Felicia Rashad, she lives down a block from me now. Yeah, she lives right here in Mount Vernon, where I'm from. So very excited stuff. We love Felicia Rashad. When I was younger, we used to drive past her house. Like, that's Felicia Rashad's house.
Oh, wow. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, she may not be here now. I might be making that up, but I don't know. I had to Google it. But yeah, I know she used to live right down the street from me many, many months ago. But anyway, but I want to thank you so much for your time. And thank you everybody for tuning. This video will also be available on my YouTube channel, which is Black Girl Everything, where we have numbers of videos from Black women-owned businesses, as well as workshops and trainings for people to work and familiarize themselves on how growing their business through Google. So check us out. We are amazing. If you're interested in actually having your own interview done with myself, Dr. Glove, please check out my website, www.blackgirleverythingllc.com, and click time with me. And you can have a conversation. We can get you on the calendar for Mini Expo. But until next time, thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.